Get 'em.
Welcome, folks. Y'all come on in and make yourself at home. This here, well, this is the Rolling Thunder Podcast, your home for all things Rolling Thunder. This episode is brought to you by Mossy Oak, because everything is better in Bottomland. Kent Cartridge, quality matters, performance counts. Shen Gear, waterfowl gear that is built better. And Benelli USA, dominate the skies.
Welcome back to another episode of the Rolling Thunder Podcast.
What's up, buddy?
It makes me so happy that you do that now.
Well, I mean, we got to just throw you right into the mix. So, how are you?
Oh, I have been thoroughly thrown into the mix here.
Yeah. I've gotten my money's worth so far.
Currently sitting amongst a pile of...
I was just thinking about the fact that you haven't actually gotten a paycheck.
That too. I have been working for free the last few weeks.
Oh, I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
I don't expect for the free trend to continue very long.
It won't. It won't.
Well,
we're visited by Coy today.
Yeah, Coy, come over here. We got all kinds of stuff going. This shop has turned into a quite the little bustling enterprise.
The podcast studio has been hijacked by Pot Call Production.
Sheesh.
We just had to kick Dutch off the mouth call cutter.
Yeah, today's pretty interesting around here. We got one fella named Dutch that's cutting the tape on mouth calls, and he's got more mouth call tape to cut than I think he's got stamina and time. I've been laser engraving striker heads, and Aaron's about used all the E6000 glue that we can source through Amazon. Russ is back there sanding pots, and man, I don't know. Drake's got a whole pile of XLs tuned up, and Riley's burning through polishing compound like it's firewood. Mm-hmm. So pretty interesting.
Busy time of year.
It really is. This is a big transitional period for us. It's like the duck stuff starts to wind down, and everybody's like, "Hey, where's my turkey stuff?"
Right.
It's like, last year we wanted you to take this January 1st, and you told us no. You wanted it February 1st. Now doesn't take but just one or two warm days, and everybody changes gears.
I walked out of the house this morning, had my jacket on. I was like, I'm leaving this here.
Yeah,
it was 55 degrees this morning.
Yeah, crazy, huh? So on this episode, I want the world to meet you.
Okay.
So tell us your name. What did your mama call you when you were born?
My mother named me William Patrick Frawley. No one ever has called me Patrick before, but, it's a part of my name. I grew up in a little town south of Nashville called Nolensville. It's no longer small. I grew up in, it was about 2,000-3,000 people lived there. They put the first stoplight in my senior year of high school, and that was in 2014, and now there's 12,000 people that live there.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was almost 10 years ago.
So booming metropolis of Nashville, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Like metro.
Oh, it's made it that far.
Yeah.
It's in a straight line, it's probably 20, 30 miles from downtown Nashville, but they've made it there and they're expanding.
But a lot of folks that work in Nashville are choosing to live in Nolensville in the same way that like Murfreesboro and,
yes.
Those kind of outlying Franklin.
Well, Nolensville's about halfway. It's not in a linear sense. It's not halfway between Nashville and Murfreesboro, but we're about 30 minutes from both.
Okay.
And so we're pulling people that go to Murfreesboro to work and people that are going to Nashville and Brentwood and Franklin and yeah.
That whole Middle Tennessee thing has just exploded in my lifetime.
It's unbelievable. I was so excited because one of my last weeks back in Nashville before I moved down here, Mary Kate was like, "Oh, we had to go to her office," and she was like, "Oh, this will be the last time you see Nashville." I was like, "Yeah, I can't wait. There's too many people here. Traffic is miserable."
I can definitely see how it's changed. I mean, in my lifetime, we had, when I was a kid, that was the only place that we had turkeys to go hunt was Middle Tennessee, and there were dairy farms all over the place, and there just was a lot of dairy still in that part of the world. And man, they're all neighborhoods now and been developed, and it's crazy. And so much wealth in Nashville. I mean, not just from music. I mean, there's just
HCA's based there. I mean, that's where a lot of there. I mean, you got Vanderbilt and like 4 or 5 different hospitals that pull a lot of people that work there. Murfreesboro's got a pretty big hospital too. I mean, obviously not as big as the ones in Nashville, but I mean, the health field is definitely a big reason why.
So, how old of a gal are you?
I am 26 and almost a half. 1996. That would be the year I was born.
You're a vintage 96. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I like it.
Still a youngin', but I feel like I'm about 46 most days. Yesterday.
You're definitely you err on the side of an old soul.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. So you came to work here. I guess your first official day was about mid-December when we went. Your first day at work, we goose hunted or duck hunted, or
now the first day we were driving.
Okay.
Day one we drove. Day two we sat in a winter wheat field for a few hours and talked. Not much hunting to be had that first morning.
Just watch the sun come up. That's a good point. And you officially kind of dove in December the 27th. So tell us walk me through post high school. How'd you get here?
Okay. Graduated high school, went to Samford University in Birmingham on a nursing scholarship.
Okay.
Spent about 3 semesters there. Ended up leaving and transferred to Harding University in Arkansas.
And you were, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were QB1 ahead of Devlin Hodges until you tore your elbow.
Correct.
Right?
That is correct. Yes. Devlin, he
kind
washed
of a Phil Robertson,
Terry Bradshaw. Yes,
story.
I was definitely the Uncle Phil in that situation.
At an earlier age.
I kind of felt bad for him, so I just kind of stepped down and was like, you know what, you deserve this better than I do.
Yeah.
So
well, that's mighty.
We're talking
kind
about intramural football, right? Are we talking about?
That's right. But you did know Devlin there, right?
Yeah, he and I were in the same fraternity. I was in there during rush, and I wore camo one day, and obviously Devlin gravitated to that.
Hey, my name is Duck.
Yeah, right. But I mean, he and I hit it off, and he was talking about duck hunting, and he and I,
awesome,
grew up hunting. I guess probably about the same timeline, because I didn't start duck hunting until I was late high school. Mm-hmm. So, but didn't share some pins, but talked about some places I found out where his cabin was and his old cabin was, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
got to hunt with him a time or two.
I didn't mean to derail your life story with conversations about Devlin.
That's okay. That's okay. But
I do think about Devlin when I hear the word Samford.
Because, everybody does.
I mean, he did. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely put
props.
Samford on the map for sure. There's no doubt about that. But left Samford, transferred to Harding University in Searcy.
Okay.
And that's where the duck hunting took a massive jump in my priority list. So much so that I ended up dropping out of college.
Is that a voluntary dropout, or
yes.
More of a?
The Harding one was voluntary. The Samford one was suggested.
I wasn't trying to dig up dirt. I just didn't know if I got you.
Yeah, no, school wasn't really my thing.
Yeah,
I was always better working with my hands than I was my brain.
Yeah.
So dropped out, started working construction, and then 2020. NWTF ended up going to the turkey show and ran into an old friend that started Tetra Hearing.
Okay.
And I was just working construction, and he asked me if I wanted a job. I could move back to Nashville. I could, all that kind of stuff, and then work in the hunting industry, which any kid that grew up hunting and fishing, that's what you want to do.
Yeah, of course.
And so I was like, yeah, I'll start tomorrow. Worked there for the last 2.5 years as the manager of customer relations / wearer of many hats.
Yep.
Being a startup company, everybody did everything.
Yeah.
So, we weren't really exactly tied down to one spot. But over the last 1.5 years, I guess, 2 years, you and I have gotten to know each other through Rob and RT, and got to be friends with everybody on the team. And got a phone call one day before you went to Canada, and you're like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's you. Yeah, we're glad to have you, and pumped, and I mean, I'll give you your props. I mean, I bought a set of Tetras because you networked with all of us, and I did find my Tetras the other day. Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
The batteries were dead. I had to change them out, but I've had to kind of make a serious life decision to make sure that I protect my hearing, and so yeah, I'm not giving you credit for that life decision. But you did protect my ears. So
okay. Can I get partial credit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There's two prongs to this. You know, there's the personal decision that I need to do something about this, and there's because I can't hear anything, and then there's here's the solution part. I'm giving you credit for the solution part.
All right. So. Hey, I'm good with 50% credit. I'm all right with that. Story of my high school career. I'm okay with that.
That's right. So, you got to remember 50% is Hall of Fame material in baseball.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So, talk to me about what you're going to do here. And obviously, I know what you're going to do here. So, I'm wanting to kind of flesh it out for the audience. So,
well, obviously, over the last, I guess this will be the 4th episode, I will be taking Rob's position hosting the podcast. Business development director is the official title, but kind of the same thing as it was at Tetra, wearer of many hats.
Yep.
Filling orders, customer service, customer support, emails, and pretty much anywhere else anybody needs help in the shop.
Filling gaps.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately that, we're working on systems around here, but we've had so much transition in the last 12 months or 13 months just with buying the company back and moving to Summerville and building out the storefront. Like, I think we're finally starting to level out and like create some systems and some routines and some things. And so it's been a challenge, but it's been a good challenge.
Yeah.
I'm pretty fired up about having you involved.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm very excited to be here. I mean, I kind of feel like we got moved in here at not necessarily the perfect time, but like you said, it kind of just feels like we've not plateaued per se, but in terms of the transition from Memphis to here, it just kind of feels like we've hit a point like, okay, everybody knows where they're supposed to be. Everybody knows where everything's at. Like,
well, so we're going into our second turkey season in Summerville.
Right.
Last year we were shipping stuff here, but we had, an inkjet printer that Jason found in his parents' attic from like college that we were printing shipping labels with. We did not have a UPS account, so we were having to drive packages into Memphis, like around the Wolf Chase Mall, to drop them off at a FedEx center or wherever to ship dealer orders. And so, like, all from that point forward, virtually everybody that worked here except Aaron and Russ were new.
Right.
So going into the fall in the waterfowl season, we were setting up the CNC machines. We were, like everything was new. And so I'm really excited because in 23, everything we do about our business, turkey in the spring and waterfowl, in the fall, like that routine, everybody that works here will have experienced that in full.
Right.
You're the only guy who hasn't experienced either one.
Right.
And you're not not necessarily a critical member of the manufacturing flow. You know what I mean? Like you're on the more on the service and fulfillment side.
Yeah.
And so, I guess where I'm going with that back around to you, because we're, this episode is about you, meet Frawley. I guess where I'm going with that is just that I am really excited about adding somebody that can talk to customers and network with other brands and really just kind of help us develop relationships in the industry and then relationships with our customers. Because we've got transactions, people are ordering stuff, but how do we be a brand that cares about our customer, follows up with our customer, make sure that the customer knows that we care about them, and make sure that the customer knows the other things that we do. Right. Because, you hear it all the time. We always have customers saying things like, "Oh, really? Y'all do custom calls? Like, man, I wish I'd have known that. I could have done my groomsmen gifts and, matching pot calls or whatever, and so I'm optimistic about feeling like the manufacturing side of things is starting to kind of level out and be smooth. It's still growing, right? But from a
it's less chaotic.
How do we do this?
Yeah.
It's leveling out.
Yeah.
Standpoint.
It's less chaotic and
That's
less
right.
chicken with its head cut off kind of feel.
That's right. So, anyways, that's all fantastic. Well, tell us about ATA. You went to ATA last week, huh?
So ATA was good.
What does ATA stand for?
Archery Trade Association.
Okay. Why did Rolling Thunder game calls go to an archery trade show?
Because I'd never been to Indianapolis, and you felt like you needed to send me. Because
just investing in
horizons
of tomorrow's youth.
Yeah, we're coming out with bows next year, so that's why we went up there. But I mean, it's a industry show, quote industry show, but there's a lot of not necessarily outfitters, but outdoor stores that go. And that's their chance to go and place orders for the year for bows or for arrows, trail cameras, binoculars, stuff like that. And Rolling Thunder was one of 3 call manufacturers there.
Really? Who are the other 2?
Primos and Dead End.
Okay.
Which makes us one of 1 waterfowl call people there.
Yeah.
And the first day, everybody was kind of getting moved in, and it wasn't really like super busy, so I didn't want to, be that guy. But the second day, I picked up a brute and started playing with it a little bit, just a little bit. The next 2 hours, I was talking to somebody. Somebody was, were you guy blowing the duck call? I was like, yeah, that was me. I didn't know they had duck calls here. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that kind of felt like I was trolling a little bit.
That's I mean, other brands hate us at trade shows.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to do some trolling.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I mean,
I got a couple looks from the booths around us, but at that point I didn't care. I was just there by myself, just trying to kill time, and it worked. It worked.
It absolutely does. I mean, the other vendors hate you, but the customers that are there are always like, man, who's blowing that? That sounds weird. That's different.
Yeah.
That's,
just something that people weren't expecting to
tell me
have
some of
at
the
archery
accounts
trade.
that you met, because basically at ATA, all the majors go to it. It's sort of like SHOT Show for archery and peripheral products, where SHOT Show is like guns, ammo, kind of all of the fire. It's basically the firearms industry.
Right.
ATA is archery industry, and we're a peripheral product to both, right? We're a supplemental.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of those archery shops that were there and the outdoor stores and stuff like that, they don't sell just archery stuff. They carry other stuff as well. But Barnett Outdoors was there, obviously. Nomad was there. I got to see some people from Nomad that I hadn't seen in a while.
I guess I meant more. I mean, those are great. I meant more like accounts, like people that we sell to, like the buyers from Bass Pro were there.
Yes, I did meet a handful of guys from Bass Pro.
Shields was there.
Simmons was there. Trying to think of some other ones.
Simmons and Bastrop.
Yep. There was a lot.
Did you meet Reese from Fin Feather and Fur in Ohio?
I don't think so. Maybe I did.
I know Jimmy and Josh talked to him.
Yeah. There was a lot of just local places.
Yep.
There was a guy from Archery Den. Archery Den is my shop that I've always went to back home.
Oh, cool.
There was a couple people there from Murfreesboro, a couple people there from Laverne. Guy from Laverne, he buys for like 6 or 7 co-ops in South Central Tennessee.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of
Farmers Co-op, Farmers Co-ops. Or Tennessee Farmers Co-ops.
Yeah.
Yep. We've sold calls to them before. It's been in years past, but did you meet any of the folks from like the farm and home chains in the upper Midwest?
No, but I saw an awful lot of Amish people there.
Yeah, they're up there in that part of the world.
I mean, that was unreal. I've never seen so many Amish people in my entire life.
Were there any were there customers there on Thursday and Friday? Like when I say customers, were there end user consumers there, or was it all industry folk?
It was all industry folk. Like everybody had to have the badge to get in. But by Friday, all the dealers had already come through, all the buyers had already come through. So it was a lot of people that were at the show, working the show, getting to walk around. And I wish I had more calls to bring, because Thursday afternoon and about the first 5 hours on Friday, I probably had 50 or 60 people. Hey, you selling these calls here? No.
And we're not supposed to. I mean, that's part of what you sign up. The agreement is like that you're not going to sell stuff at the show to be handed out at the show.
And a few people that came up and asked that said that, I guess you're not really supposed to. And I was like, well, hell, if I'd have known, I would have. But I mean, it actually did turn into a couple good conversations. There's this kid, I can't remember his name. It's not Jackson, but he was from Indiana. I'll say kid. He's married and has a kid, but he looked really young.
Yeah.
He stuck around for about an hour and a half, and we just talked about turkey hunting.
Awesome.
And so he is going to end up getting some calls from us because he was asking about them. He actually stretches and cuts his own mouth calls.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I was asking questions about that, but he's kind of getting into the travel turkey hunting kind of deal and was asking me questions about Mississippi, Alabama, and I was like, you ever hunted Tennessee before? He goes, yeah, it was easy. I was like, easy? He goes, yeah, we went down to this place and shot one on the first day. And I said, where? And he told me, and I was like, don't you tell people there's turkeys there. I was like, what? I was like, nobody knows where that's at, and nobody goes there. You need to keep that to yourself. And but he's a really good kid. He's going to make a trip out west this year.
Nice.
So, but.
So what do you think about I just totally lost my train of thought. Took a big old gulp of coffee, and the caffeine is just
soaking in.
Right in between the eyes. Started early this morning, and what did you think about Josh and the tin roof? And y'all threw a party for some of the buyers Thursday evening, right?
Us, Rolling Thunder, we are Rolling Thunder. Rolling Thunder, Nomad, and Barnett rented out the tin roof from 8 to midnight on Thursday night. And me, Josh, Jimmy, and Austin got there probably 10 after 8, I'd say. And there was we were 4 of 10 people that were there. And, of course, Josh didn't care because the bar sold Busch Light, and so he was just having the time of his life.
Is it true? It was in an aluminum can?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He was beside himself when he realized they had Busch Light. By the time 8:45 rolled around, you couldn't walk.
It was packed.
It was unbelievable.
Everybody went to dinner and then out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the deal.
Yeah.
Well, those trade shows are hard on your liver.
And your sleep schedule too.
Yeah.
I mean, I got some weird looks when I cut out of there at about 11:30. And they're like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I'm going to bed, dude. I'm tired." I don't know.
11:30 p.m.
p.m.
Oh yeah.
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 They were like, "What are you leaving for? The night's young." I was like, "Not for me. It's not. I got to go to bed, son." But no, there's a bunch of people there.
But that's an important part of networking.
It absolutely is.
I mean, it's not like
absolutely
you're
is.
at a strip club or something and just being wild. I mean, but having access to buyers and conversation outside of the trade show hall,
right?
Is really
where you
important.
can just be seen as a person and talk to people as people. There's no pressure, there's no formal,
no name tag.
Yeah,
you
just have a good time, sit down, and have a conversation. It's just a no pressure. But
it always blows my mind how the 10 a.m. conversation on day one of a trade show, and then the 10 a.m. day after you go hang out, they're completely different.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one's like. It's sort of like asking somebody permission to hunt versus, being your
telling them you're coming.
Telling them you're coming. Exactly. I mean, and I'll never forget. Jason Hart told me one time, he was like, we were talking about this very thing, and he goes, "Oh boy, you got to build mammoth brands after midnight. You got to make sure you take care of your liver during the daytime because mammoth brands get built after midnight." That's always like, well.
Oh my God!
I don't have many after midnights in me anymore.
No, absolutely not. Jason had left. Most of the Mossy Oak guys had left by the time that rolled around. Rocky came, JD came, and actually I think that may have been it. I think everybody else took off before that.
Yeah,
but
Daniel didn't make it because of Mr. George's funeral.
I got to fanboy a little bit. I got to sit and talk to Josh and Paul Butsky for a little bit.
Oh, nice.
So the 10-year-old, well, I say talk to. I kind of sat close by while they talked and kind of jumped in every now and then. But the 10-year-old in me was probably.
Did you tell them everything that they needed to know to fill in the gaps about their turkey hunting knowledge?
Yes. They asked me tons of questions about tactics.
Here's how you hold the fan.
Correct. Yes, that's exactly right. They asked me a lot of questions about the facilitation of killing turkeys because,
You've got a lot to add.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Paul's a killer, and so is Josh. But I mean,
yeah, they ain't no squints.
Oh my gosh, that made my skin crawl.
Well, Josh was telling me, he got to see Paul, and he also got to see. Was Ernie there? Was Ernie Calandrelli there?
I don't believe so.
Okay. And that's the first time Josh has been to ATA, and he's a big deer hunter.
Yeah,
and he likes to bow hunt.
Yeah. Fred Zink was there.
Okay.
He came on Thursday.
Cool.
Trying to think of who else. Spencer Pruitt, Groove Life was there. He was there the whole week, so he and I got to hang out. I hadn't seen him since.
He's a trade show machine.
Yeah, he is.
He's
that
a
dude's
pro
got a
with those.
motor. He's been doing that a long time.
He doesn't ever slow down either. That's a cool company that they've built. And, a cool product, and it's fun for me when I go to those shows, I can really see why some of those brands are successful, and it's because of the people. I mean, they've got great products, but it's because of the people behind the scenes that are connecting and making relationships, and like you don't just go to one of those shows and just run out of ink writing orders.
Yeah.
But it's like a very slow moving train, and
It's
like
a
the
slow
fifth or
burn.
sixth, seventh, show, you end up gaining traction, and it's a slow process,
and it's a learning process too. Like I didn't, when I got there, I didn't really know what to expect from myself, but also what to expect from the buyers and dealers walking around. Like after the first day, I hadn't written any orders the first day, and I was like, God, Spencer's gonna be pissed. Like I don't know what to do. And then we went to dinner and went and hung out with some people and just started hanging out and talking to people. And by the next day, people were walking around like, hey, I saw you over here. And I was like, oh, I get it now.
Well, in a lot of these accounts, you're going to see again at NBS and Sports Inc. and the buy group shows.
Yep.
And so I think a bunch of these buyers go to ATA to kind of see the new stuff and not necessarily to write orders. And then they write orders when they get to their buy group, because the buy group helps them finance their inventory and get some special deals and, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah. And there was also quite a few people there that weren't the people from their store, their company, whatever, that cut the check.
Yep.
They were just going and looking at the stuff and kind of
coming back and reporting.
Yeah, they were shopping around and coming back and like, I think we should go with this, and this. What do you think? Here are the prices, kind of deal. And that's another thing that I didn't know what to expect. As well. Because I was like, you guys want to go ahead and take, well, we're not the ones cutting the check. We got it. I was like, oh.
Did Josh introduce you to Mitchell or any of the guys at Dead End? Mitchell's a really good dude, and he's been a really kind friend to ours for years now, and I really like Mitchell, and Dead End's doing well, and it's because Mitchell and his team are pouring their heart and soul into it. So, anyways. Well, cool. Any major takeaways from ATA? What are you going to do different at the next trade show?
At the next trade show, I'll probably put a microphone on Jimmy and see exactly what he does when he's talking about. Oh my gosh, like that dude was doing something with some buyer or dealer or some account
the whole time,
from when the doors opened to when he went to bed.
Oh, no. He's hustling. He's hustling in his sleep. I don't know how he does
Jimmy is a machine. Like, every time I looked up, he was handing papers to somebody. He was bringing somebody to our booth. He was doing something for Barnett. That dude is unreal.
Yep.
And knows everybody.
Yep.
No, when he was helping me move in on Tuesday, we were just walking from the doors to our booth, and he probably, like, said, hey, what's up to 10 or 15 people in a 150-yard walk.
Mm-hmm. What about, did you meet some of our Southeast reps, like Morris and Dustin? And
I met Dustin. Actually, I met all three of them. There was three of them that came. Kyle was there, and
Kyle, Dustin, and Morris.
Yeah.
Or Nate. Was Nate there? I think it was just Kyle, Morris, and Dustin.
Yeah.
Crazy. Dustin and Kyle are both from right here in West Tennessee. They both cut their teeth at Final Flight. And
neither one of them told me who they were when they came up and started talking to me, and their name tag said Wisconsin, and they started talking. I was like, y'all don't sound like you're from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And like, no, we're from Tennessee, but live in Mississippi. And so they came in, stopped by every day for 45 minutes to an hour, just talking and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so
Cool.
it ended up being a good show. Like I said, I didn't know what to expect, and there weren't a ton of people there, but we made the most of it.
That's right.
We definitely weren't running the wheels off of it, but we were busy enough to stay busy the entire time.
Did you see any archery products that you're like, dang, that's revolutionary?
I didn't have, since I was there by myself, I didn't have a chance to go walk around. I really didn't get to see a whole bunch of the booths.
Good answer.
Only because someone wasn't there to
working,
babysit
boss.
it while I was walking around. But
Good answer.
I mean, Matthews and Hoyt weren't there, but Bear was there, PSE was there, and there was a couple other bow companies that I hadn't heard
Did they
of.
used to go? Did you hear any scuttle about that? Like, did they pull out?
I think that I was talking to Brody Swisher about it up there, and he was saying that they've just become so established with their dealers and their brand that they don't need to like, everybody knows who they are enough to where they don't need to go and do those shows anymore.
I got you.
You know.
Yeah, it's an ever evolving world, especially because back in the day, that's where magazine writers and stuff like that's where they went to find out what was going to be new, these industry shows. And so it's like, in my lifetime, the industry shows have waned in terms of participation, like SHOT Show this week and stuff. I mean, this is the first SHOT Show I hadn't been to in a while.
Right.
And there's no need for me to go to SHOT Show.
Yeah.
There's not any real business that happens there for me anymore. Well, as those things have waned, the industry shows, the consumer shows have just there's been a rebirth. And I mean, it's a huge part of our
massive
business.
part of our business. And that's something else that I think Walt Gabber was talking about. He said leading up to COVID, ATA was a pretty good show. It was pretty busy. And then they canceled it 2020 and nobody's sales changed enough to make a difference. And everybody was like, oh, I guess we don't have to go to ATA, But I mean, they still filled up the show floor.
Yeah.
Like, there was still plenty of it was definitely not a graveyard by any stretch, but
yeah. It's not a hopping place like it used to be, but it's a viable part of our business for sure.
And it's Indianapolis, where parking is a nightmare. It was unbelievable. Parking was horrible.
Well, cool. So talk to me about, what do you want to try to accomplish here this year? Give me some of your goals and visions and musings and
goals. Work-related goals. I mean, I would like to grow the podcast. Rob has given me certainly a nice rocket ship to start with, but just staying consistent, 1, maybe 2 shows a week if we can, and hoping to use some of the network connections that I have developed and will develop to get some pretty awesome and interesting guests on here.
That's a good one. The podcast matters to me a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm always impressed at how many people listen to the podcast.
Me too.
And it's not, numerically it's not some gigantic number when you look at the analytics. I mean, it's a solid number, but it's not like, whoa, that's a big number. But what I'm always impressed by is when we don't publish a podcast, like, our inbox blows up. Where's the podcast? What are y'all are not doing it anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
And then at the same time, like, when you say things on a podcast, it's impressive how many people remember the details of those things and then regurgitate them back to you. And it's cool to it's a really cool connection point for us with our customers. And so
and podcasts are just becoming extremely popular as is. I mean, everybody listens to podcasts, and if you hunt, why wouldn't you listen to a hunting podcast? So that would be one of them. This is going to be in no apparent order.
That's a good one.
I want to be. I don't know that I'll ever be on Jimmy's level, but I would like to be able to be a diligent and not necessarily prolific, but adequate connection with dealers and getting new accounts and maintaining accounts and stuff like that, because our consumer facing side between the storefront and online does really, really good, but box stores and
we need to grow that side of the business.
Absolutely. And so those are getting to people that are just walking through and they're like, hey, I've heard of those guys. Maybe not necessarily the kind of guys that are coming to our website, but shopping for stuff and say, I've heard of them, or, I know so-and-so that uses that. And I think just the more places that we can get into, the better, the more we can grow the brand. Not only increase sales, but grow the brand as well.
That's
right. I don't know.
There's a good snapshot right there of life at Rolling Thunder. Customer just walks in, door dings, Drake is tuning duck calls.
Yep. Yep.
Only thing we're missing is Dutch over there going, cut cutting tape. So, well, good, man. I mean, those are two. I'll let you stop right there, because if you can succeed at those two things, you'll be a gigantic success by Christmas time next year. So
another thing that's not super high on the priority list is I want to learn from the guys on the back right.
Oh yeah,
about taking pictures and filming.
Oh yeah.
That's more of a personal deal, because that's not
awesome.
That's not something that's really expected of me here.
No,
it's just kind of a hobby kind of deal for me. If I'm gonna do it, I want to do it to the best of my abilities.
Heck yeah.
Those three guys in there they all right.
They all right. They know Rob.
Yeah.
Still miss Rob every day.
I think we've talked about Rob on every podcast.
Good, we should. I hope he listens and feels a little bit guilty. No, I'm kidding. Rob is doing good, and we're gonna go down to West Point at some point and see him. And I was kind of hoping we could do that today, but it's not in the cards for me. I've got my oldest got elected to the homecoming court week after next, and I got to go buy a suit because, 12 years out here in Fayette County, and I ain't worn my suit.
Yeah, it had to go to court, so you don't need a suit.
There was a time where I wore a shirt and tie every day to the bank, and that's not part of my life anymore, So I got to go do that this afternoon, and there's some ducks that need to be killed the next couple days. And
I haven't been since we got back from Oklahoma and Kansas.
Yeah,
not one time.
Sorry.
I
haven't been as much as I normally have.
I've already come to the conclusion and come to terms with that I'm probably not going to get to hunt Arkansas this year.
What are you doing on the weekends?
Going that way, seeing my woman.
Significant other.
I do. I'm also just trying to build up brownie points for turkey season.
No, that's a man who's got his priorities in line. I will tell
you. But you went last weekend, but think I'd skipped so many duck hunts.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's also turkeys up there in her neck of the woods. You can metaphorically kill two birds with one stone.
That is true. There's not near as many birds. There are not near as many birds in Middle Tennessee as there used to be.
No.
Not even close.
No.
And there's probably 4 times as many people that come there to hunt.
No doubt.
Gosh, I wish it was like it used to be.
Well, it's not going to get like it used to be because there's houses where it used to be. So
that is true. That was one thing that I was going to say earlier when we were talking about how many, cattle farms and ag farms that turned into neighborhoods. One of the places that I grew up hunting that was maybe 10 minutes from the house, that me and my dad and my brother probably shot 20 or so deer, 15 or 20 turkeys off of it, that my best friend's parents live in now. Like I can stand on their front porch and say, I shot a turkey there, I shot one back there, I shot a deer right down the hill. Like
Dang.
The biggest buck I've ever shot was in where that neighborhood is. Oh gosh, we used to roll in there and just they'd be in every tree. Not anymore.
It's not like that anymore.
No.
Times change and it is what it is. So,
yep.
But spring's coming, and I know you're excited about changing gears. I am for sure. This is the point. Every duck season, I'm just like, all right. Whether I've killed enough or not, I'm ready to do something different.
Not that you're done with it, but you're just kind of ready to get it over.
Ready to move on. Yeah. That's right. So, but you're going to get to hunt here plenty.
I hope so.
You make it through the summertime, and I'll make it worth your while. So, all right. Well, I'll wrap this one up since this was about you. And you did botch the last one. So thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Rolling Thunder podcast. We'll catch you on the next one.
See y'all.